and welcome to another Ryan Sports Reviews. Tonight I'm reviewing Tigres 4, New York City FC 0 in the quarterfinals, the second leg of the quarterfinals of the 2020 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League. Tigres goes through 5-0 on aggregate. Easy game, easy as you like. Tigres will go on to face CD Olympia, who just beat Montreal 2-2 on aggregate on away goals tonight. Earlier on, the semifinal will be Tigres versus Olympia on this side of the bracket. First one on Saturday. The goals were scored as follows. In the 30th minute, Quinones puts the ball in, crosses it in, header in by Andre-Pierre Gignac to make it 1-0. Great header, amazing play, great header. And that's 1-0, 2-0 on aggregate. Then in the 50th minute, Quinones puts the ball in, back heel by Fernandez, an amazing back heel, and that's 2-0, 3-0 on aggregate. In the 64th minute, balls crossed in by Quinones, again, 3 assists, header in by Rafael Carioca to make it 3-0, 4-0 on aggregate. And then in the 85th minute, Javier Aquino does it himself, takes the ball in, takes a shot past Barraza to make it 4-0, 5-0 on aggregate. That's the way it would end. Tigres, as easy as you like, even though they didn't dominate tonight, as easy as you like, go to the semifinals, and hopefully this year, for their sake, they can win the trophy. But the good news for them is they did not qualify to next year's Champions League, so that probably tells them, because normally it looks like the teams who win it aren't able to defend it, like Chivas and Monterrey, and, well, there wasn't a winner this year yet. Wow, doesn't feel like 2020. The tournament started in 2020. Right, back to the point. I think the year Pachuca won it, they did not qualify for the next one either, did they? Yeah, so, yeah. They didn't either. So, the stats were as follows. 6 shots to 15. New York actually outshot Tigres, crazily enough. 4 assists to 0 assists. 11 steals to 20 steals. 12 fouls to 18 fouls. 52% possession to 48% possession. 3 offside to 1 offside. 1 corner to 8 corners. 329 passes to 327 passes. So with that said, New York had a good game, honestly. Their defense was weak, but forward, they played the ball forward, but they couldn't beat the Tigres defense. It was pretty even besides the shots. I mean, honestly, New York shouldn't be disappointed with their performance. They played hard. They played well. They just couldn't score. They couldn't get any plays into the box, and they couldn't get any goals past Nahuel Guzman. Barraza being their goalkeeper, I told y'all, having a third-string goalkeeper with losing your best players and your back line not being the best, I knew it was over. It should have been worse. Frankly, should have been worse. It should have been a complete and utter shellacking. The scoreline makes it look that way, but the way the game was played, the way the stats went down, honestly, it wasn't. Tigres had 4 great attacks. They scored on all of them. They were clinical. If they weren't clinical, you could have had a chance. Honestly, Tigres weren't great tonight. They weren't the best. They weren't dominant. Yeah, they switched it on in the second half, but in the first half, New York was better. The second half is what really turned it on, but they were still clinical. It wasn't like Tigres was amazing. They weren't. They didn't wow me. They scored 4 goals. They had 4 good plays, 4 good chances. They scored on all of them. They were clinical. That's the difference. It wasn't that they scored 4 times. New York, kind of unlucky, not gonna lie. Kind of unlucky. You can't complain about it because it is what it is. But almost had equal possession, basically. Had more shots. Had more pressing. They just couldn't get in behind the Tigres defense. Sadly enough. They did everything right but that. Offensively. Defensively, it wasn't great. They got broken down. It wasn't great. Their defense wasn't stout. They were shaky. And that's how you lose to a Mexican side. You can't have a shaky defense. You can't not have belief. You have to believe in yourself somewhat. New York didn't. They came in kind of dejected. The fact that they did this well kind of is crazy to me. They kind of came in dejected. Without Sean Johnson, without Hebert, without Matrita, without any of those players. And the fact that they were at Exploria Stadium again probably didn't help. I mean, they didn't look up for it, and they still played okay. The defense was way too shaky. And having that third-string goalkeeper, Barraza, did you win? If it was Sean Johnson, maybe it could have been different. But it wasn't. This was the situation you were handed, and you lost. That's all I could say. Tigres did what they had to do. That's exactly what I saw tonight. They weren't great. They weren't awesome. They didn't wow me. They scored 4 goals. They were clinical. That's all that mattered. And New York weren't clinical. And their defense was trash. Pretty much, that's what did it. That's what did it. That's all I could say is what I seen. What I saw, Tigres were clinical, New York wasn't. That's the story of the game. And they had bad luck. That's the story of the game. Pure bad luck. Tigres outplayed them. Tigres didn't really outplay them, but they outscored them. They found 4 good plays, they scored on them. What else can I say? So with that, that's the way I looked at the game, honestly. So with that, if I were yous, because I'll still do these, New York fans, if I were you, I wouldn't be angry. I wouldn't be angry. Hearing your first and second goalkeeper were out, Stuver out of contract, Johnson close contact to someone who had COVID, and had to play the third string goalkeeper. I mean, honestly, with like 2 of your best players gone from injury and being sold, I mean, honestly, you had to see this coming. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad about it. Just get ready for next year. Y'all will be better in MLS without the Champions League, without all these stop-starts. Honestly, just get ready for next year. That's the thing you need to do. Get ready for next year, put this behind you, and say, okay, casino hands, we're done. Get this behind you. That's the way I would feel if I were you. Tigres fans, if I were you, there's got to be more. Now, Olympia, if you have, honestly, with Olympia, you should have a better performance. I hate to admit it. But Olympia should smack them around. Do something I've never seen happen to them. They've done their fair share of smacking other teams around and just winning too, but honestly, in this situation, you should make the final. If you don't, that's a major, major failure, Tigres. You don't make the final, failure. You lose, failure. Especially if it's not to Club America. Club America, I can respect, but I've seen you beat them before too. Anything less than a trophy is honestly a failure for Tigres. Honestly. And without having a chance next year's Champions League, without qualifying, you better win. Honestly. You have to win. Like, that's exactly where you are now. So honestly, get up, beat the ever-loving Tar, for your sake, out of Olympia. I don't want to be wrong picking y'all to win, by the way. Let's just be honest. Do what you're supposed to do and go on. Win. Fight. Be the strong team I know you are, because this wasn't the best game. This was not the Tigres I'm used to. Yes, they were clinical, but they were not great. They had 4 goals, but they were not great. They were clinical. Let's see. 4 goals on 6 shots. That's like 75, 80%? 80%? Yeah, I don't do math. yeah, this was not the Tigres I know. So that's how I'd feel if I were you. Ask for better. Because anything less than a trophy is a failure. And especially losing to Olympia and not making the final, failure. But not even winning the trophy, making the final and losing is a failure. Especially if it's to LAFC or Cruz Azul. If it's to America, kind of understand it, still a failure. So with that said, if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe, you know what it is. Tell all your friends. Tomorrow, I got a live stream reaction for Atlanta versus Club America and the RSR for Cruz Azul versus LAFC. Also, Sons of a Pitch Soccer have a live stream reaction for that one when that comes on, LAFC Cruz Azul, so check them out. Also, I was on their Concacaf predictions stream last night, so check that one out too. So yeah, with that said, I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace!